Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Diaries of a 20-something. I'm Paige Marquez, your host, and today I am 23. Well, yesterday I turned 23, and I had a crazy weekend and just past few days between my birthday, and I threw a holiday party, which was so much fun. And I kind of just wanted to do a special little episode this week about turning 23 and just the entire weekend. So let's get into it. So turning 23, I feel like is kind of different than I expected. I didn't really expect to feel so unexcited about it. And I was excited about all of the things I did for my birthday. You know, I spent a lot of great time with all my favorite people. And I just think that that is a beautiful thing. But I don't know, 23 is starting to sound really real. I'm starting to really realize that I am old. 23 is just, you're really in your 20s now. There's no going back. You are in your 20s. And next year, I'm officially going to be in my mid-20s, which is just crazy to even think about. Like I mentioned in the last episode, Jane, actually, my friend from college, did fly up for, all the festivities and the celebrating and whatever. And we had so much fun together. She was supposed to actually be in this episode, but last minute she had to fly home a day early. So that is why we're doing a solo episode this week. So Jane flew in on Friday, and that is where it all begins. On Friday night, she flew in the morning, but I had to go to work on Friday. So after work, she really wanted to take me out to dinner as a solo thing, and we had so much fun. I took her to my favorite restaurant here in Hoboken called Dear Maud. I'm sure you guys have heard me talk about it before. The bartenders, like I've mentioned before, do know me at Dear Maud, so I ended up getting a lot of free shots. Like I said, we ate a lot of food at Dear Maud, and then we went to Antique Bar and Bakery, and then Antique was just kind of the last stop of the night. We were only there for 30 minutes, I think, and we actually met this couple there. And I'm a very friendly person. I make friends with pretty much everybody around me, and Jane is convinced that they were swingers and they wanted me to sleep with them. I didn't really get that vibe in the moment, but thinking back on it, I definitely 100% could see that. Which, no shame if that's what you're into, but personally me, I just wouldn't. I prefer my sexual encounters to be one-on-one, not one-on-two. And I'm just going to say right now, over this weekend and yesterday, I have drank more than I have in a normal couple months' time. And I honestly don't even have it in me to do anything for months now. I'm definitely burnt out from a social perspective and just an activity perspective. I feel I've lived so many lives just in the last couple of days. And while I miss Jane, I am kind of happy that I have this day to just get my apartment back together and kind of ground myself and just get everything in order. And I will say so far, 23 sucks just because this is my first day being 23, I guess you could say. And definitely off to a rough start. I woke up at 7 a.m. this morning naturally after going to bed at 2. You know how sometimes when you're sleeping and you can just sense that something is off and then your body wakes you up? Yeah, well, that's what happened. I wake up and I'm cracking my eyes open a little bit, and I have realized that Miss J has liquid all over my bed. And this has only happened one other time back in college. It was sophomore year. And, she just had a stomach flu, and she definitely has one now too. Thank God my mom was here. She slept over last night, which was amazing. So literally was up at 7 a.m. I was crying. I was Mom, I need your help. I literally can't do this right now. It was just so, it's really traumatic when that happens to you, because whenever my dog gets sick, she always really feels the need to be as close to me as possible. And that's super sweet. I'm glad that she feels so comfortable around me, but at the same time, waking up to a pile of next to my head is just not ideal. And if you know me, you know that I'm definitely a germaphobe. So I just had a breakdown, and my mom cleaned my sheets and whatever, she changed them, and then I went back to bed for 5 more hours to find out that she has liquid in other places in my apartment. And the thing is, when my dog doesn't have accidents, but when she's sick, she won't like tell me she has to go. She'll just go. So now I'm in a situation where I'm just like keeping my eye on her like all day today. Like we're just not going to do anything. She hasn't eaten yet, but she's not liquid anymore. So I think we finally passed that point, but I am going to give her some like plain chicken and rice at some point today just to try and like keep her diet as bland as possible if she even feels up to eating at all. So yeah, so far 23 sucks, but it can only go up from here, right? But like I said, I had a fantastic weekend. I actually threw my first holiday party ever. And if you know me, you know that I love hosting. And I also hate hosting for the reason of like, I'm always so stressed out when I host over the fact of like, is everyone having a good time? Is like everyone enjoying their food? Like, does anyone need anything? Does anyone feel left out? Like, it's just like, those constant thoughts. I just want to make sure that everybody is having a great time. It went so well. This was definitely the best hosting situation I've ever pulled off. And my mom's boyfriend came, and my mom's boyfriend's friend, and some family friends, and then like a lot of my friends from here. And it was just so much fun. Like everybody got along, everybody was like making friends with each other, and I feel like that's such a beautiful thing when that happens. And like I always get nervous about that because I've had so many experiences in my life where merging friends just like went horribly, and I was really kind of nervous about that, but it went really well and everybody had such an amazing time. It's actually great. Jane actually loves Angela, which I love because I love Angela, and I was really hoping like out of all the people that she was going to meet here, I was really hoping that like they would get along well, and they do, and it's just amazing. It was all so fun. But yeah, like we cooked a bunch of food. Like we had like a big charcuterie board, and we had a photo booth, which was so much fun. Some people brought food as well. Christine, one of my work friends, she ended up bringing Christmas tree shaped Rice Krispie treats that she made, and they had little M&Ms as like ornaments. They were so cute. I ate like 3 of them. And Natalie brought brownies, which was great. And after the party, we decided to go out. I like really didn't want to go out, but I didn't want everyone to go out without me. So I just went out and I didn't even drink. I was exhausted. I was definitely like ready to go home. But my mom's boyfriend actually ended up bartending it, which was amazing. And he did such an amazing job. Jeff, if you're watching this, thank you so much. I had a bartender planning to come, but it fell through like last minute, like one of my bartender friends. So Jeff saved the day because there's no way that I could have bartended all of those drinks to all of those people. But it ended up being the perfect amount of people. I feel like any more people would have showed up, it would have been like a little bit too crazy for me. I think total we had about 15 people, somewhere around there, and it ended up being perfect, absolutely perfect. So, and then on Sunday, we didn't really do anything. We just had a relaxing day. I took Jane to O Bagel. Now that I'm like living here and stuff, and like Jane is my first friend from Florida to come visit me up here outside of like my sister, obviously, but like when my sister comes or when Jane comes, like I just love showing people my favorite places here, and like getting good feedback on those places is just like my favorite thing. Jane loved Dear Maud, loved it, same as my sister. I mean, how can you not? We just got 3 appetizers. I feel like Dear Maud, like that's like the kind of place like where you just get like appetizers for the table and then just like go from there. We got tuna with crispy rice, and then we got steak skewers, which are my all-time favorite things there. And then we just got some French fries. So yeah, Sunday we didn't really do anything. We just got O Bagel, and then Jane's sister actually lives in Chelsea. So Jane went to spend Sunday night and all day Monday with her sister, which is perfect because I worked all day Monday anyway. And then Monday night, Jane was like, come to the city, come to the city. I was like, I really don't want to go to the city. Like, I'm tired. I just worked all day. Like, I kind of just want to go home. I always feel bad going out on the days that I work all day because like my dog at home, like I don't like her being home alone for that long. I just feel really guilty about it. But I was like, you know what? Like you have to come out. Like it's your birthday eve. Like I want to like treat you, whatever. And I was like, you know what? Like fine. Like okay. But I literally told her, I was like, as long as we leave like as soon as it turns midnight, because I was so tired on Monday. I don't even know why, because I got really good sleep on Sunday. I'd like use Sunday as like such a good reset day, but I was still so tired on Monday. Like I was like falling asleep at work. It was crazy. We ended up going to 2 places in the city. We went to this one bar called Bar Bonobo. So good. The cocktails were really good. Just like a really cool vibe. But like honestly, like that would be a great spot for date night. It's like very dim and like quiet, but there's like jazzy music playing. It's just like good vibes. And we got 2 cocktails there, and then we went to another bar that she wanted to show me. Her sister gave her like a bunch of recommendations, so that's like how she knew about them. I'm pretty sure the second place is called Lulu's. So cute. All of their cocktails were like in special glasses. Jane got a dirty martini that was in a bathtub, and I got a cosmopolitan, and it was like a glass shaped as a bird. I just love like random things like that. Like that's just so fun. We ended up making friends with the bartenders because when did we not? And Jane didn't end up leaving the city until like 1:30. So the whole thing about like, oh, like I'll go as long as we leave right after midnight was like shot to we got home late, and I was like, great, like now I'm gonna be drained tomorrow. And I was. So yesterday my mom came over and we all made breakfast together. It was super cute. That was like my first time having French toast in like, I don't know, like way too long. Jane wanted to get something to wear for my birthday dinner later in the night, so we did a little shopping. We started to get ready for dinner, and we ended up going to this place called Rosemary's, which I literally made the reservation for like last week. So I'm like so shocked that I was even able to do that. And it's actually funny because I made the reservation for 6 people, and I was like, oh, like I need a reservation for 6, whatever. Like, I don't know why in my head I thought it was 6 people because it was 7. When we got the table, I was like, but they ended up just giving us an extra chair, which was like perfect. But we got this table on like a heated patio outside, and it was so secluded and private. And I actually loved that because Rosemary's as a restaurant, it's a really cool, vibey Italian spot. It's very boho chic inside, and the food is just so good. They also have like a rooftop garden where like they get all their vegetables and stuff. It's just like very good food. It's not even like that expensive either. Like for the quality of food you're getting, it's like insanely good. Like I'm pretty sure like each pasta dish is like between like $20 and $27 depending, and then like appetizers are like 10 to 15, and like drinks are like 16 or 17 or something. Like it's actually really well priced for the quality of food that we're getting. I knew that I wanted to get the pasta carbonara because the first time I ever went there, that's what I got, and it was so good. And I'm very picky about pasta carbonara. Like it has to be done like a very specific way. And I feel like every time I get it at restaurants, it's always like very oily. Like whenever I have stuff like with a lot of oil, it never sits right in my stomach, and I end up feeling horrible. So we ended up getting, I want to say 5 entrees and 3 appetizers for the table. It was so much fun. Like again, like it was just me, Jane, my mom, Angela, and my 2 work friends, and then one of Jane's hometown friends, which actually worked out perfectly because my G-Big was supposed to go to my birthday dinner, but she woke up sick yesterday, which was like, I mean, like unfortunate. Like Sydney, if you're watching this, we missed you. But Jane's hometown friend who lives in the city that came to my party on Saturday, she like was like, oh, like I really want to come to the birthday dinner. When Sydney backed out, my G-Big, I was like, oh, well, like tell your friend, like she can come now. And like her name is Grace. She's honestly so sweet. Like I honestly really like her a lot. I'm really glad that I met her, even like through another one of my friends. You know, it's just like nice because now I have another person in the city that, you know, I get along with well. And she reminds me of like a sunflower of a person. Like she's very like bright and calm and just sweet. And then after dinner, we went to one of my favorite cocktail bars in the city called the Happiest Hour. It's right next door. We're at this table. We're at like this big like U-shaped booth, I guess you could call it, or like half circle booth. One of the waitresses brings us espresso martini shots because they heard it was my birthday somehow, probably from Jane. She always does that. Like Jane is so that, like, she's like definitely like that friend where like she'll like secretly tell the waiters like it's my birthday. Like if she did it last night, that would be the 3rd time that she's ever done that. Like secretly told the waiter like, oh, it's her birthday, give her something, you know? Like I'm not a person that like likes espresso martinis or coffee for that matter. It's mainly like a coffee thing rather than an espresso martini thing, but they were actually good. I just don't really like coffee. I don't like the aftertaste. I don't like the way it makes me feel. In retrospect, it was definitely good that I took one of those because I thought that this was going to be the end of the night. This was about halfway through the night. So my work friends ended up leaving. They went home, and then Grace ended up leaving. So then it was just me, my mom, Angela, and Jane at this cocktail bar. And we met these guys that one of them's name was Carlos. And I can't remember the other guy's name, maybe Matt. I think it was Matt or Matthew or something like that. Could be wrong if you're watching this. Hi. And they were really cool. Like, they were just like older. I don't really know why they were talking to us because when I went up to the bar, Jane and Angela were already chatting with them. Like, Carlos tells me this elaborate story. He's like, oh, like I'm one of the owners of the Tao group. And then he said, oh, I'm like one of the owners of Little Sister Lounge, which is like a big nightclub in New York. And then it's like, oh, like I'm a partial owner of Little Sister Lounge. And then it's like, oh, like I'm an investor. Like honestly, he's just so full of shit. I feel like I've said a lot of times in this episode, and I'm sorry, but I have on the brain, guys. So he's like, let's go to Little Sister. I was like, you know what? Like, okay, whatever. We get there, and then I've been to clubs with the owners before, and you don't wait in line. You go in through a separate entrance in the back, generally. We didn't wait in line, but we went in through the main way, and like the way that like the bouncers were like, step back. Like if he owns the club, they wouldn't have treated him like that. They would have just let him in. So I, at this point, like I knew that he wasn't, but I was like, whatever, like we're already here. Like we may as well like stay for a little bit. He's like talking to me at this club, and he's like, oh, like I want to like financially support you. And I'm like, huh? I don't know. It's just not really something that I would do. Maybe if you asked me in college, I would have said, yeah, like I did go on a couple dates in college for money here and there, but like he was looking for like a relationship. And I just, as broke as I am, and as much as I'm like constantly grinding for money and like extra opportunities and like whatever, like that's not really something that like I want to do. And he was so weird about it because he was like, I need a relationship where like you wouldn't get jealous. And at this point, I'm like, you know, I'm just like playing into it. At this point, I'm like, okay, like whatever, like I can do that. Like I can do it without getting attached. Like if anyone knows me, like I'm very good at not becoming attached in most cases. And he was like, I don't want you to get jealous at all. And I was like, okay, well, like whatever. Like this is like just a relationship and you're just gonna like what, like pay my rent? And like he was like, I'll give you like half of what your rent is. And I was like, per month. And I was like, okay, great. Because in my mind, I'm like, okay, great. Like I could finally be at a point where like my dad won't have to contribute, you know, like he would give me the other half, kind of become like more financially independent. And I would love to get to a point where my dad doesn't have to support me. And I'm sure like I will one day. It's just like, I feel like the sooner the better. But I'm like, okay, like whatever. Like, because if you're a girl, you know that this happens a lot. A lot of guys talk a lot of game when it comes to, I want to financially support you, da 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 da. Like this guy was lying to us from the start. When I first met him, he told me he was gay. Then he told me that he was married to a woman and he has 2 kids. Then he told me that his wife is a lesbian. This guy was just all over the place. But what was funny is, like I said, he was like, oh, like, I need a woman that's not going to be jealous or whatever. And I'm like, okay, I can do that. And then like 10 minutes later, he comes up to me. He's like, hey, one of the models I'm screwing is here. I have to go say hi. I was like, okay, go say hi. Like, I don't care. Like, I'm mingling. Like, I wasn't even with him. I was making friends. And then he got mad at me because I didn't get like offended or upset about the fact. He's like, I don't understand why you don't care. I'm like, didn't you just tell me? I met you an hour ago. You know, like the club is so loud at this point. I'm like drained. I'm like, I don't like, there's nobody like here that I'm like really vibing with. And my phone was on like 3% and my mom had to be up for work the next morning. So we ended up leaving. I called us an Uber home just because my phone was like close to dying. And so yeah, that was my weekend, and that brings us to this point. Jane asked me the other day, she was like, what do you want like out of this year? Like what's like your goal? I want to become like even more financially independent. Like, a goal would be to grow my career more, grow the podcast more. It's not even like about men. Like, yeah, like a boyfriend would be cool, I guess, but my career comes first, especially in this time of my life. I have my entire life to focus on relationships and my marriage, but I feel like my marriage, as if I'm married, the possibility of my marriage. And I have so much time to do that. But I feel like right now I just really want to focus on my career and just growing the podcast and focusing on, friendships and things that like really matter at the end of the day. Not saying that relationships with men don't. I just think that they're not like a crazy priority in my life right now. I'm really happy with where my life is right now, as overstimulating as today has been just because of Miss J being sick and cleaning my apartment from the weekend. I'm just trying to do like a Sunday reset on a Wednesday right now. And I've been kind of quiet about this because like I don't really like putting things on the internet, but I have somewhat of a feeling about it. So I'm just going to mention it. I have been talking to a new boy for a while now. It's been, I don't know, like I feel like maybe like 2 months now almost. And he's from Jersey. He's from like 20 minutes away from Hoboken, but he is currently in grad school in Iowa because he's trying to be a chiropractor. And he's coming home for the holidays in 2 days. So I guess we're finally going to be meeting in person, which is like exciting, but like nerve-wracking at the same time, but like nerve-wracking in the best way. We FaceTime sometimes. So yeah, I'll keep you guys updated on that situation. Who knows where it'll go or where it could go because he's still in grad school. Just keep it sweet and simple for now. Also, guys, do you like my Christmas PJs? My mom got them for herself, but she didn't like the neckline, so she gave them to me. I think they're actually so adorable. Like they're so Christmassy, but they're not super red and green. They're like pink and girly colors, and I really like them. Next week is going to be a shorter episode just because I don't know how much time I'm going to have towards the podcast, just because of I'm flying home for Christmas now and like I work and I don't really know what next week is going to look like for a podcast perspective, but I do want to do something a little like New Year's Eve-esque. So definitely stay tuned for that. Maybe my sister can be a guest if we end up having time, but I'm literally going home for 17 hours, so I'll probably be sleeping for 9 of those. This weekend is SantaCon, and I will be vlogging it, so stay tuned for that. This was Diaries of a 20-something, episode 27, and I'm so happy that we are at this point. I feel like I'm finally gaining momentum. I don't know if you saw recently, but I recently went viral on TikTok for not like the wrong reasons per se, but whatever. Check it out if you want. I'm very grateful to each and every one of you, especially today. I'm just feeling very grateful today and very loved and very supported by everybody around me. And the gratitude I have is just immeasurable. And a lot of that is for you guys. So thank you so much for being on this journey with me. I'm so excited for what's to come. Make sure to follow the Instagram because I'm becoming more consistent with that. Like, share, and subscribe. And I will see you guys all next Friday. Mwah.